In this tutorial, we're going to add and subtract algebraic fractions. So the first one that I'm going to do here is 5 plus x plus 2, 5 over x plus 2 plus 4 over x. Right, if you are not too familiar with the way we use the 4 operations, add, subtract, multiply, divide, with fractions, I would suggest you go back to a fractions tutorial first before you look at this one. Right, so if we're adding fractions, we know that we must have a common denominator. If we can't see anything that they both go into the lowest common multiple, we can just multiply these by each other so that we know we've got a common denominator. So that's what we're going to do most times with algebraic fractions. So x plus 2, we want to multiply that by x. And so if we do multiply that by x, we have to multiply the top by x. X, we're going to multiply by the other denominator, which is x plus 2. And you'll see I've just put that in brackets because remember it's x multiplied by all of that, not just x times x. And so if we do that there, we have to do that on the top. Alright, so let's write out what that gives us. 5 times x, we've got 5x. And then we have x multiplied by x plus 2. And so I've put x here and x plus 2 in the brackets because it's x multiplied by all of this. If it's on the denominator, you don't need to multiply it out. We can just leave it like that in a nice factorised form. Plus 4 brackets x plus 2 over x times x plus 2 again on the denominator. So I was saying we don't have to multiply out the denominator because we know it's just going to stay like this, and that's a nice factorised form. You do, however, want to multiply out the bracket on the numerator because when we add them together, we'll be able to simplify the numerators. So we know that we add these together, so by adding them together, x brackets x plus 2, we add the numerators together, so 5x plus 4 brackets x plus 2. And as I was saying, we then want to multiply out this bracket so that we can simplify this expression on the top. So 5x plus 4x plus 8, just simplifying and multiplying that out, over x brackets x plus 2. 5x plus 4x is 9x, so that simplifies to 9x plus 8 on the numerator, and x brackets x plus 2 on the denominator. If we can factorise the top, we could factorise it and see if we can simplify. 9x plus 8, we can't factorise, therefore we're leaving it like this. Right, so that's your first example of adding an algebraic fraction. I'm going to look at a subtraction one now. Pretty much the same. We've just got to watch our minus sign here. So this one I'm going to do 3 over x minus 2 over x minus 5. So as before, same as adding, we need a common denominator. So the easiest way with algebraic fractions is I'm going to multiply this one here by this denominator. So multiply that by x minus 5. I have to do the numerator as well. And then for this one, I'm going to multiply this by x, which means I'm also going to multiply the numerator by x. So in the next line, we've got 3 multiplied by x minus 5. Sorry, that's just a mistake. X minus 5 over x brackets x minus 5, because it's x multiplied by all of that. Subtract 2x over x bracket x minus 5. Okay, we can put these together now. So we've got our common denominator, which means we can subtract this numerator from this one. So 3 brackets x minus 5 minus 2x. Remember, we do want to multiply out this bracket on the numerator to see if we can simplify it all. So 3x minus 15, that was multiplied to be, minus 2x over x bracket x minus 5 equals 3x minus 2x leaves us just with 1x minus 15 over x minus 5. And that's it in its simplest form. So I'm not going to do another subtraction one where we just have one more thing to think about. So this one here is 3 over x plus 2 minus 5 over x minus 1. So you can see we've got more terms on the bottom here now. Exactly the same process though. So we need a common denominator, so we're going to multiply this x plus 2 here by the x minus 1 and vice versa. So the x plus 2, I'm going to multiply by x minus 1, the other denominator. If I do that with the denominator, I need to do that with the numerator. Same with this one, to get a common denominator, I'm now going to multiply that by the other denominator, the x plus 2, and of course I need to do that on the top as well. So what does that leave me with? We've got 3 brackets x minus 1 over x minus 1 x plus 2, just multiplying both denominators together, subtract 5 x plus 2 over x minus 1 x plus 2. We have a common denominator now, so we can put these together. So x minus 1 x plus 2. So here we've got 3x minus 1 minus 5 x plus 2. On the next line, we're going to multiply out the brackets on the numerator to see if we can simplify. So 3x minus 3. And this is where you just have to be careful. Remember, it's minus 5 times x. But it's also that minus 5 times the 2, so it's a minus 10. Over x minus 1 x plus 2. Last little bit, let's just simplify this. So 3x minus 5x, we've got minus 2x. This minus 3 subtract 10, minus 13, over x minus 1 x plus 2. And that's you. Right, I'm going to do one more example and then you can try some yourself. I will do just a slightly different one again. So this one we're going to do 3a over 5x plus a over 5x squared. So we're close to having a common denominator, it's just that this one's x squared and this one isn't. So actually to get the common denominator here, the easiest thing, which is always good to look at, you don't always have to multiply them by each other, will just be to multiply this one by x so that we have 5x squared, and we can leave this one exactly the same. And then I'll multiply this one by x as well. So on the next line, I'm going to have 3ax over 5x squared plus a over 5x squared. Just makes it a little bit easier. And then we have 5x squared on the denominator, 3ax plus a. And just good practice if you can factorise that numerator, because a we have a highest common factor, so we can pull that out and have a equals 3x plus 1 over 5x squared. Right, and you're ready to add and subtract algebraic fractions.